Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode corporate filings so you don't have to. Today we're diving into the annual report of Pharma, and let me tell you, this one's a trip, a pharmaceutical trip that is. Get it? Because they're working with psychedelics. Okay, let's move on before I embarrass myself further. This report gives us a look at their business over the past year, focusing on their efforts to develop new treatments for things like PTSD, anxiety, and even Alzheimer's, and all the risks and rewards that come with it. Pharma is a developmental stage biopharmaceutical company. That means they're not selling a ton of product, but instead are in the trenches trying to discover the next big thing. Their main focus is on creating new treatments for underserved conditions. This includes post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, fibromyalgia, which is a chronic pain condition, and other diseases that affect the central nervous system. They're working on different types of drugs, including both traditional medications and those that use psychedelic compounds like psilocybin and ketamine. The company has a few products they are developing. SPC-15 is their leading candidate, is an intranasal drug targeting PTSD. SP26 is for the treatment of fibromyalgia and chronic pain. And SPC-14 is for Alzheimer's disease. Finally, they have SPU-16, a treatment for central nervous system disorders, starting with multiple sclerosis. A key part of Pharma's strategy involves partnering with universities. For example, they have a license agreement with Columbia University for SPC-15, their PTSD treatment. They're working with MedSpray Pharma to deliver the drug. Preclinical studies for SPC-15 were completed last year and they submitted a request to the FDA. They are hoping that this treatment will be approved quickly through the FDA's 505B, a ERB drug, a regulatory pathway. The company hopes to gain a competitive advantage by having proprietary technology that delivers the drug directly to the brain through the nose. They also have a ketamine implant for fibromyalgia called SP26. Fibromyalgia affects approximately 4 million US adults, or 2% of the population. They believe SP26's implant design provides a compelling non-opioid alternative to traditional pain management. Pharma has a license agreement with the University of Maryland, Baltimore or UMB for something called SPU-16. SPU-16 is their treatment for central nervous system disorders. This agreement gives them exclusive rights to develop and sell products related to this treatment worldwide. Now let's talk about risk. As a pharmaceutical company, they have a lot of intellectual property to protect and they face intense competition, and their industry depends on it. If they can't secure and maintain their patents, it could materially impact their ability to compete effectively. Also, their products may be subject to controlled substance laws, which could be affected in the results of their business operations. Another big risk for Pharma is their limited operating history. They haven't been profitable yet and they'll need additional financing to keep the lights on. Securing additional capital may result in dilution to their stockholders, restrict their operations, or require them to relinquish certain rights. Now let's get into the numbers. For the years ended December 31, 2024 and 2023, one licensee, Aikido Pharma Inc. accounted for 100% of their total revenues from customer license fees. It is not good for a company to be 100% reliant on only one customer. Digging in a bit more, the company has revenues of just over $72,000 in both 2024 and 2023. Not exactly breaking the bank, but when you look at operating expenses, those are about $4.7 million for 2024, compared to $3.9 million the year before. So they are definitely spending more and they don't have the revenues to show for it. This all leads to a net loss of about 4.4 million bolians for 2024. A big chunk of that increased spending went to research and development, which jumped up to $230 in 2024. That is a material and serious increase, nearly 2 times as much from last year. This is pretty typical for a company at this stage in its life cycle. Also, something that's very typical of these development stage companies, they don't have much revenue, so they must rely heavily on funding. As of December 31, 2024, they have approximately 7.4 million total assets. Finally, as of June 30, 2024, the aggregate market value of the voting stock held by non-affiliates was only approximately $3.4 million. In general, a company like this is what is considered a small cap stock and is more subject to risk. Also, something to note is that their management has stated that their internal control over financial reporting was effective as of December 31, 2024. This is good because it was ineffective last year. Another point to consider is how global events may affect the company. The filing states that disruptions from events such as government shutdowns, prolonged health concerns such as the COVID-19 pandemic, may slow the time necessary for new drugs to be reviewed and/or approved by necessary for new drugs to be reviewed and/or approved by necessary government agencies, which would adversely affect their business. Finally, let's talk about cybersecurity. As a pharmaceutical company, the company believes cybersecurity is critical to advancing technological advancements and that they face a multitude of cybersecurity threats. Despite taking steps to protect against attacks, it may not be successful in preventing or mitigating a cybersecurity incident that could have a material adverse effect on the company. To reiterate a risk mentioned earlier, they also have potential product liability risks. As a pharmaceutical company, any claims against them could be difficult and costly to defend and could materially affect the market for their future therapeutic candidates. Similarly, they face risk from intellectual property litigation. They may need to spend considerable resources developing and maintaining patents, license agreements, and other intellectual property that may later be abandoned or may otherwise never result in products brought to market. Overall, the company may face potential unauthorized access and disclosure of confidential information. There is no assurance that they will not experience service interruptions or cyber attacks in the future. So what is my take on Silo Pharma? They're definitely in a high-risk, high-reward game. The potential for innovative treatments using psychedelics is there, but it's balanced by the challenges of drug development, regulatory hurdles, and financial constraints. I do think they need to start finding additional funding in the future to continue their plan of operations. Securing strong partnerships and staying on top of regulatory changes will be critical for them to succeed. If you found this breakdown insightful, please hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of corporate filings. Thanks for watching.